Summary of the Remarkable Rocket by Oscar Wilde. Everybody in the court of a European country is very excited about the wedding of a young prince to a young princess. The king plays the flute at the wedding, despite the fact that he is terrible at it. However, he believes that he is amazing because none of his followers ever had the bravery to do anything other than cheer when he plays. Since the princess has never seen fireworks before, the king orders that a show of them be put on at the end. Once the royal pyrotechnist has finished setting up and preparing the fireworks, they start talking to each other. It seems like all the fireworks are cocky and arguing about how big the world is and how romance is dead. The supercilious-looking rocket coughs loudly to draw attention to himself before he introduces himself. He talks very seriously about himself, saying that he thinks he is the most important person in the world and having a moment to think about how lucky the prince is to be married on the day the rocket takes off. The other fireworks don't agree with him. They say that it is the fireworks that are being set off to honor the royal wedding, not the other way around. But the rocket is stubborn. He brags about his amazing family tree, thinks about how incredibly interesting he is, and compliments himself on how sensitive he is, which he thinks makes him very special. Listen, the other rockets, but don't pay attention to the rocket. He doesn't seem to understand this. Even though the rocket has never met the prince, he is talking about how much he loves him and how terrible it would be for everyone if something bad happened to him. Suddenly, he starts to cry. A pair of fireworks tell him that it's common sense to avoid getting wet because it will keep his gunpowder from lighting, but the rocket stomps their advice away because, in his words, he is utterly uncommon. The rocket keeps getting into fights with the other rockets, and his tears soak him. The royal pyrotechnist and his helpers show up at midnight and light the fireworks. Each person sets off the fireworks in turn. They fly into the air and explode beautifully, making the court happy and having a great time. The rocket, whose tears have wet his gunpowder, doesn't fire, though, and is left there by himself. According to the rocket, this means that he is being saved for a bigger event. The wedding is over, and the court is leaving. The cleaners find Rocket by himself the next day and throw him over the wall into a ditch in the nearby farmland. The rocket thinks that he is being sent on vacation to calm down and get stronger. A frog walks up to the rocket while he is sitting in the mud and starts talking non-stop. When the rocket coughs to get the frog's attention, the frog only says that his cough sounds a lot like a croak, which is the most beautiful sound in the world. There is no time for the rocket to say anything as the frog talks about his famous glee club and his beautiful daughters. As the frog is leaving, the rocket is angry that he wasn't given a chance to talk. The frog jokes that he likes it that way because it keeps people from arguing. The frog swims off, leaving the rocket to yell after him and repeat his belief that one day people will realize how great he is. One of the ducks swims up to the rocket and asks if his strange shape is a birth flaw or the result of a terrible accident. The rocket puts her down by calling her a simple middle-class commoner and tries to scare her with his high-class status and ability to fly into the air and blow up. But the duck doesn't care because she doesn't see what use it could serve society. She is also not moved by his claims of nobleness and ambitions for public life. She has tried politics herself before and failed miserably. Instead, the duck was happy to stay home and take care of her family, and she told the rocket to do the same. It's still important to Rocket that he make a good impact on people and enjoy the finer things in life. As the duck swims off, the rocket yells after her that he still has a lot to say and wasn't done talking yet. Two boys with logs and a kettle show up while the rocket is thinking about how smart he is. One of them sees Rocket lying in the mud and thinks he is an old stick. The boys use the rocket to start a small fire around the pot to boil water. While they wait, they take a nap. Already wet, the rocket dries out slowly until his gunpowder is dry enough to light. Once it does, the rocket takes off into the sky while the boys are sound asleep. He thinks that now is his chance to make such a big noise in the afternoon air that it will be talked about all over the country for a whole year. He blows up, but no one sees it. A goose is the only living thing that even notices him. It is frightened when his flame-filled stick falls to the ground. Even so, the rocket sees this as proof that he has made a big splash and burns out.
About the author. Oscar Wilde was born in Dublin, Ireland. As a child, his mother wrote and read to him the poems of the Young Irelanders, a revolutionary group. This gave him a love of poetry and writing at a young age. Following his time at Trinity College Dublin, Wilde went on to study at Oxford. During and after college, Wilde was a well-known supporter of aesthetics. He also tried his hand at a variety of literary activities, such as writing essays, giving lectures, working as a writer, and writing books. He became well-known in London and around the world for his sharp wit, oddities, and support of the hedonistic chase of pleasure. At this time, he also married Constance Lloyd, who was the daughter of a rich lawyer. They had 2 children together. By the time his only book, The Picture of Dorian Gray, came out in the 1890s, Wilde was at the top of his writing game. After it did well, Wilde started writing plays. He wrote a number of comedies that made fun of different parts of society, including his most famous work, The Importance of Being Earnest, which did incredibly well in 1895. In the same year, Wilde's lover's father told everyone about his secret life as a gay man, which was illegal in late Victorian England. Wilde went to jail for being immoral and had to do hard work for 2 years, which he did. As soon as he got out of jail, he ran away to Paris, where he wrote his last work, a long poem called The Ballad of Reading Gaol, which was a tribute to his time there and a comment on the struggles of prisoners. Wilde became more interested in Catholicism while he was in jail and afterward. Robert Ross, Wilde's friend and lover, called a priest and baptized him into the Catholic Church in his last days. He died when he was 46 years old.
Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.